Hello everyone, welcome back. We have officially had our first regional of the new MRC season, otherwise known as Season 2 for Grand Archive. This one was the first regional hosted by 401k Collectibles up in Chicago, so congratulations to them for getting a regional and a really good turnout for your first regional as a whole. This was a 28 player event, 8 invites were sent out, so in this video we went over 8 different deck lists and what was being played and how those broke down as a whole. But as you see here, we have the breakdown of 28 different players in the event. And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pull up now the graphic that I've made. Shout out to Cosmic for this idea as a whole. We're doing the circle graphs. But as you see here, the event spirits we had a very wind-dominated event, very dominated by wind, into normal Sylvie being a high representation, words, next to fire being third, and then water being last in overall representation. In the far right circle, we have their event champs. So the event champs we had 6 normal Sylvie, 6 wind Tristan, 1 fire Y, 1 fire Nico. So pretty much all these small Sylvies are going to be ones. We have water Tony control, erupting Allen, which is really interesting. Check that over. I think TCG did a video about this, and then Andy K ended up playing it at the event. You had 1 fire Agrozander, 1 fire slime Sylvie, you had 1 fire Diana, you had 2 water Xanders, which is more towards the ally list, a little bit more aggro. You had 3 wind slime Tristan and 3 wind Lorraine. And then going into our top 8, we ended up having, looks like 4 of those Tristan players ended up converting into top 8. All 3 wind Lorraine players ended up making in the top 8, and then 1 of the normal slime Sylvie making it as well. So Lorraine allies with the highest conversion rate of 3 for 3. Tristan was next of 4 of 6. And then Slimes had the lowest of 1 of 6. But with that being said, let's go ahead and hop right into these deck lists. The winner, Erupting Matt G. Congrats, Matt, for winning the first regional of the season on Win Lorraine. So this one doesn't go to level 2. This is the level 1 game plan only. Running Gwendolyn Spirit, or basically Spirit of Wind, flexing off that, that prize card they earned. Backup charger, I have Argus to give something true safe when you get through a stealth or something with block or deal with an annoying ally, Grand Crusader Ring, Ornamental Greatsword, Safeguard Amulet, Smoke Bombs, Sword of Seeking, Terrafring, and the Baubles. So pretty standard material deck. In the main board, you have Charged Mannequins, Lurking Saint, Manufactured Cell, because of the fact this is a little bit more of the Power Cell build. So you're using Backup Charger, using Manufactured Cell to buff Charged Mannequin. You could buff your other automatons with Androka. You have Armored Valkyrie. You have Eternal Magistrate to help versus some of those matchups that like to get the cheat out material deck. You have Fairy Whisperers, Favorable Winds, Rally in advance to untap your big automaton swingers. 2 Reclaims, 4 Rose Eternal Pendragon. Rose is automaton, so it does get buffed from stuff like Andronica or Manufactured Cells if you need to. You have 4 Second Winds, again, to pre-use the untap, wake up a tapped ally. Shimmercook Assassin, Stifling Trap, Windrider Vanguard, and Zephyr. So pretty much the game plan is you want to go ahead and buff one of these mannequins to huge, get in for an attack, untap it with Second Wind or Rally in advance to get another swing in, and sort of accumulate value that way along the entire game, and just pretty much outpacing your opponent, because if you have multiple power cells in this case, you go ahead and make a really big, say, Charge Mannequin or Androka, or if Androka buffs someone else as well, you just have a huge unit going to swing in for game. In the sideboard, you have 1 Fire Resonance Bobble, 2 Incapacitate, if you need to counter target action cards. 2 Tune in the Winds are going to buff your board if you need to play a little bit of a longer, slower game to make everything stay alive longer. You have 1 Cry for Help. You have 4 Trained Hawks to deal with stealth, and 2 more Zephyr. Congratulations, Matt. This is a list that I think I've talked before in our early metagame was Wind Allies. I think this deck is strong. I think I like this more than regular Wind Allies personally. Some might differ, but I feel like this list overall is a very, very fun play style using the automatons and the interaction that we just got with MRC and ALC. Going to deck number 2, we had Violet. Violet is also on a Wind Lorraine list, pretty much the same board, same list across the board. If I'm not mistaken, the only difference is this one isn't running Baubles, this one is running Viridian Protector Trinket, and I think this one is also running Poison Coating Oil, unlike Matt. This list is sort of the classic Wind Allies build. So you're running Deflecting Edge, you have a Steam Knight, you have Gildas, Imperial Recruits, Inspiring Calls, Lurking Sounds, and Windland Squirrels, as well as the Ace Protector and Attune the Winds, with a Dream Fairy and Eternal Magic to control the board, Phantom Scout to get your buff to humans, Rally to Advance, Rose, Second Wind, Stifling Trap to help deal with those decks that want to go ahead and Dungeon Guide, or something that has an unenter trigger, Windmill Engineer to get the value of Windmill Engineer and getting the extra card in the memory, Windrider Vanguard, and Zephyr. So pretty much this is the more classic Wind Allies build that we're used to seeing, Still very strong. I said I personally just prefer the automaton builds. There's no wrong way to go either or. This one's mostly down the playstyle and how you want to interact with it. So if you would like Horned Allies, either one of these builds will be up your alley. Build whatever fits in your budget range and is sort of overall more fun for you to play. Into deck number 3. We have Tristan. We have TCG's Tristan list. This is still pretty much the generic list that we've seen before with Shadow Reaver and Shadow Dancer, Assassin Ripper, Backup Charger, Grand Crusader Ring, Poison Dagger, Safeguard Element, Miracle Boots, and Shadow's Call. The main game plan is to go ahead and try and get to level 3, value the board with your Ominous Shadows, as well as controlling the board enough to pretty much get yourself into a control sort of style game plan. You control the board, you bounce your opponent's units, and you just stabilize to the point that it becomes hard for your opponent to deal with you, especially as you're gaining preparation counters. You can redirect your attacks to your Ominous Shadows, and then you have Shadow Strike to go ahead and close the game out with a big swing when you're using something like Mastermind. The way this works is that using your Stable Rem to get some floating memory if you want to. You have Sadie to gain preparation counters on value as well as clearing units, and using the Agility 3 to keep your hand size. Quasi Outlooks to go ahead and control the board as well and get a preparation counter. Dream Fairies to start banishing units. 2 Ensnaring Films to bounce all allies to their owner's hand if you need to go ahead and clear the board versus, say, more aggressive ally list. 4 Fairy Whisters, 3 Innovator Agilities to go ahead and D-level. Especially if you're playing something like Shadow Dancer, you can D-level back to Shadow Reaver, then re-level back up to Shadow Dancer, get to draw 2 again, and get 2 more Ominous Shadow tokens, as well as another preparation counter. It's sort of a way for you to flood the board with your Ominous Shadows. Just be careful though, you're always susceptible to something like Ensnaring Fumes or Ravaging Tempest. You have 4 Reclaims, 4 Stifling Traps to deal with Dungeon Guides, 4 Surveil the Winds, just a strong card in my opinion. I really enjoy this card. It's a pay to replace itself and get a preparation counter, and fast speed if you're already level 1. 4 Veiling Breezes, 4 Windmill Engineers, like I said, Windmill Engineer and Reclaim is one of the staple, I will say in quotation marks, interactions that we've seen, and it's pretty funny as well, and 4 Shadow Strikes to close the game. In the sideboard here, we have Incapacitates if you want to do something like Incarnate Magistrate and Merlin, so you can go ahead and counter their Incarnate Magistrates for pretty much free. You have 3 programs to deal with the ally list, 3 Slice and Dice. I haven't really found out, I have to re-listen to the video, what Slice and Dice is brought in for mostly. I heard it's just to go faster or used for something more aggro list, so I don't doubt it as a whole, but I have to rewatch the video of how Slice and Dice is used. Arrow Trap to deal with something like Magistrate or big units are sort of a hassle. Cleansing units to deal with Erupting or Fire Lorraine list. And then Ensnaring Fumes, another one to deal, like I said before, with the ally list as a whole. Congrats to Terry for getting TCG's first invite of the season, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, no, sorry, second invite, because they got the ones at Ascent Taipei. Guru. So Guru's running the one of Spirit of Slime, thus the main top 8. So we have the normal sideboard here, our material deck here. Beast Bum Boots is in the side. The material deck for dealing with stuff like Rye or Merlin Fireballs, Quicksilver Grail, Covenant Thrones, Guy's Blessing, Horn of Beast Calling, Stone Cone Band, and Verdant Scepter, pretty much all standard. This one is a little unique. It is running 61 cards versus 60. It does have the one Beast of Frenzy in the main. Isn't always needed for list. Just note that Beast of Frenzy is a very personal preference list. It works out really well if you're facing like allies. You can go to clear the board. Some people just don't like it as a whole. Again, this is flavor, budget, whatever you want to deal with. Take it and use it as you want. But 4 Baby Grey Slime, 1 Beast of Frenzy in the main, 2 Blissful Callings to go ahead and filter, Dungeon Guides, 2 Engineer Slimes. You're getting a power cell with that backup charger. 4 Escape the Wreckage to bounce some of your cards back if you need to, as well as draw cards in the memory. 4 Force Cake, 4 Limit Slime, 1 Turbocharge, again getting the value out of that backup charger. 4 Baby Red Slimes to discard your Slimes to go ahead and buff something up like Slime King. 3 Slime Eruptions, 3 Baby Blues, 4 Gather, 3 Baby Greens, 4 Slime Shields, 4 Storm Tides to pretty much your game closing. A Ethereal Slime to go ahead and get some attacks in, deal some chip damage, as well as get an extra card draw. 2 Luscious Slimes to make a big taunter. You're not really going to be able to swing with them, but it does make a big taunter that has to deal with the on-death trigger where you get to recover. 1 Lustrous Slime, 1 Slime King in here. Again, you don't get to swing, but it makes a big taunter. It gets stuff back like Storm Slime, Ethereal Slime, Baby Red Slime, or a couple other interactions if you want. And then Vampiric Slime to go to get the recovery on hit. And then if you pair it with something like a Beast of Frenzy, you get a big cleave as well as recovering and clearing the board, making it sort of like a pseudo Carter. In your sideboard here, you have 1 Tithe Proc, 1 Beast of Frenzy, 3 Reprogram, 2 Resolute Stands, 2 Twilight Slimes to deal with the Rye Merlin matchups, 2 Hymn of Gaia's Grace, which is really interesting because someone may put in a Beast ally card for Zerkov level or less from your hand onto the field. So this is 3, so it gets another way to go ahead and cast something like a free Storm Slime if you need to. And then 2 Verdant Slime to deal with Regalias or just make another big buff taunter. But really congratulations to Gurtho. This is a really interesting slime list. Really interesting 61. Congrats on that. I'm really happy to see Engineer's Time see more play. It's something that's really starting to come up more, especially people realizing how good of a card Backup Charger is, and that card has pretty much now become a staple Regalia card, especially in your main deck. There is no reason not to run it in your main material. Going to deck number 5, you have TCG Isaac. Same list as we walked over on to TCG Terry, so for the breakdowns list, just go ahead and rewind the video back a little bit to go into TCG's Terry, and I broke down the list a little bit. In 6th place here, we have Jome. So Jome is going to be on the another win Tristan, a little bit different. So it is running Gloomstar Mantle in the main. I think this is the not Ascent Taipei, but they ran this in a Yeti, I think, TCG, and this is the list sort of they had before, but it's also different because some cards are shifted around. So you run 3 Dungeon Guides, 3 Incapacitates in the main, 3 Mastermind Scheme, 3 Sadie, 1 Turbocharge Cell. We do put an Arrow Trap in the main for the bad, roughly Merlin matchup. Quasi Outlook, 2 Dream Fairy, 2 Ensnaring Fumes, 2 Internal Magistrate, a card that was caught recently but brought back in. Again, if you're expecting a lot of Merlin or a lot of cards that are running Dungeon Guide, it's a really good card to have in your list. 3 Fairy Whispers, 2 Innovator Agilities, 2 Parsonet, which is really interesting because you are an assassin, you get stealth and get the glimpse to start filtering your deck. You have 3 Reclaim, 4 Stifling Trap, 4 Surveillant Ones, 4 Veiling Blades, and 4 Wind Engineer. This one's also running Shadow Resonance. So Shadow Resonance is a really good card. You get your Recover 2, then draw a card to pretty much recuperate itself. And then if you have 4 more preparation counters, which with them in Tristan you usually do, you go ahead and get another Ominous Shadow token and 4 Shadow Strike. So this one's a little bit different than TCG's list, but also a little bit the same. So keep in mind, this is a little bit more of a play style. As you run 3 Sadies, you don't run the 4. You're running 3 Dungeons instead of 4, and you have 3 Incapacitates instead of running a couple into your sideboard. And this one's also putting the Arrow Trap and Eternal Magistrate into the main board, which is really just sort of matchup dependent, depending on meta, what you're going to expect. These could work out really well in your main board if you're expecting a lot of, say, Merlin matchups, Rye matchups, even Sylvie matchups, because they want to go ahead and sometimes Dungeon Guide to level 3. Pretty much a lot of lists that want to go ahead and utilize something like a Dungeon Guide. Running stuff like Eternal Magistrate in your main and you're expecting a lot of it is really good to have. Even works in the mirror because it could be a little bit of a breaker as your opponent's trying the Dungeon Guide for free. On the sideboard, you have Nullify Lantern for the Erupting. You have 1 Quicksilver Grail, 2 Grange Silver Thief, which is really actually funny. I really like this card. I still like this card. I liked it during last season. I like it this season. It's really good from the matchups that are really starting to get heavy instant memory and want to utilize certain cards. So being able to sideboard this into, say, a Rye or sideboard this in versus Tristan, you go ahead and get to start banishing cards out of their main. It's a card that most people aren't expecting anymore. So some people are going to start paying some cards down that they might think are safe just to fully utilize their hand and then end up getting punished by a green as a whole. You have 4 reprograms for the Automaton matchup, as well as the free float, which is always nice, and 3 Shimoko Classins to get a little bit stealth aggro list on. Congratulations, Jome. Really interesting take on the Tristan list. I'm really excited to see people starting to innovate more and tweak TCG's list. I don't think either one is bad. Both of them are good. Both of them are really meta dependent on what you think you're going to be playing against and their meta calls as a whole. CC Mr. Mullen, you are also on Win Tristan. This is, again, pretty much deck for deck, card for card, if not a little bit the same of TCG's list. This one is running the Gloomstar Mantle back in here. And you are running Quicksilver Girl on the sideboard. But overall, this list is pretty much the same. And it's also not running no Nullify Lantern, which is really interesting. I'm not sure if they just didn't have it with them or if there is something where they don't have Cleansing Reunion. But this one is not running Nullifying Lantern. But if you're not expecting Erupting, you can also sort of cut it. Especially if you're running a smaller event. Sometimes you can always sneak away with it. A sense of maybe not so much. 1 Stifling Trap inside here because you run the 3 in the main. 1 Ensnaring Fumes, 1 Quasi Outlook, and 3 Air Traps. I think this is pretty much the list that they ran recently at a Yeti event or Alexia Map Open. For TCG, I think this is exactly the list, 1 for 1. Again, go back and rewind this video or look at some of my past videos or even TCG's own video for how they sort of play this deck and how it is built. And then Uwu Kitty Dude Roar. These are words I honestly never expected to say on a camera being recorded. With Spirit of Wind Tristan. So you have Spirit of Wind Tristan, Spirit of Wind Lorraine, sorry, not Tristan. We just went over 4 Tristan decks, you know. This one's also level 1 Lorraine only with Drawn Blade, all the baubles. Life has its aim to get a draw for that. Ornamental Greatsword, Terrafraying, Viridian Protective Trinket. This is going back to the old Allies build like we talked about before with deflecting its Estimate Gildas, an Imperial Recruit, Inspiring Calls, Lurking, and Trained Sharpshooters. I have a Tuning Winds, Phantom Captain, some Stifling Traps in here. Surf Recruit, Vigilant Sentry, another 2/3 for 3, good value. One of my Vanguard Zephyrs with the sideboard being a Nullifying Lantern, Smoke Bombs, Rain Resonance Bauble, Seeking Shot for the ally matchup mirror into Trained Hawk. Again, sorry this is going to be a little bit more of a short video. There's not much to really break down in this. We broke over the decks as a whole. A lot of them are sort of the same, so there's not too much to break into too further into it. But like I said, guys, if you enjoyed the video, enjoy the new graphic, anything issues that you're seeing with my audio or anything like that, as I did make so many adjustments recently, please let me know so I can make adjustments in future videos. Keep an eye out for any other future releases. And with that being said, I hope everyone has a good one, and I'll talk to you all later. Peace.